I'm gonna be so real. You were the last interview before lunch. I could not be more happy to see you.
Oh my God. And that's a big compliment to me because I would be so much more excited about food. So thank you for that. That is a big win. Let's get into it here. If my math/memory is correct, which like crapshoot on both, but if my math and memory is correct, this is the first screen role of yours where like the only basis you have is another actor portraying it. Like otherwise you've done like, you've had books to go on or it's been a wholly original character, but Mean Girls, all you have is other actors to go on. How does that affect how you approach the role? How did you approach this? Did you do your own thing?
That is a great point. So, I hate to say it, but for All Together Now, previously entitled Sort of Like a Rock Star, that is also a book. But I approached it different ways. Having source material can be a double-edged sword because for this particular film as well, Mean Girls, it's a classic. Like, that is sacred text. Like, that's a sacred film. You don't really want to touch that, you know? So I made the choice before auditioning and then after receiving the role to not watch our '04 film because I just wanted to make her on my own. And I felt that anxiety of paying homage to Lizzy Caplan, who did it so well, and then to Barrett Weed, who, like, I just love her voice. I've listened to her in Heathers. I've obviously, like, beat her voice to death within my ear for Mean Girls as well. And so I went into it with some anxiety, but luckily Tina Fey, as well as Samantha Jane and Arturo Perez, like, they welcomed me with open arms and held me in a way that just said, just play, you know, like ad lib, add to this character however you'd like. And in our rendition also, Janice is openly queer. We also have like musical elements. This is a completely new Mean Girls than what you've seen before.
I thought this since the casting announcement came out, but I knew you were going to be perfect in this role. Excuse me if I suck up a little bit, as always, but I knew you were going to be perfect in this because it is so great for your deadpan humor. And that's what I love about Janice. Curious, listen, you have it. We're just going to say it. You're very, very funny and in a very specific way. But I'm curious for you, like when you're unlocking her, when you're finding your own take on her, what is like that one piece that you're like, oh, I got like, this is Janice. This is my Janice.
I did a lot of background work of like, why is she so mad, right? And in our film, we understand that like there is such a deep hurt between her and Regina. And so my background is that when Regina called Janice a lesbian, like it hurt, but it hurt because like in our childhood crush ways, like sure, Janice might have had a little bit of a crush on Regina. And so like doing the background, I think really helped me just bring out the best and the worst in Janice. Like, let's be clear, Janice isn't one of the plastics, but she's still a mean girl. Like, that plot for revenge was really a plot for death. She was hoping that someone would die. She died for 15 seconds, you know what I mean? So it was really...
Everyone on it has it, though. Come on, everyone has.
It's not her fault. So it was a great chance to dial up that character to 10, and I had a great time.
It looked like you were having a great time. I do vocally, very challenging role. Curious, compare this to Moana, right? Because Moana is also a very vocally challenged role. Which one is harder? Which one is more fun? I mean, don't pick between your children, obviously, but like you're running between rooms in this. Like, vocally, how was this for you?
Mean Girls was significantly harder vocally than Moana. Moana, you're in a sound booth, you are recording things to perfection, you have take after take, you have tea in between, whereas this, like, I was truly sprinting down halls. I was trying to remember choreography, remembering marks, acting at the same time. Some of it was lip sync, some of it was also live vocals. Depending on what time of the day we were filming, that one like reprise where we're outside of the house that Janice wasn't invited to the house party of, that we filmed that into like the early morning. So belting that early in the morning was tough. There's also neighbors outside being like, this is so cool. And I'm like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. It was so cute though. There were also like little kids dressed up as Moana in my peripheral. Like, it's just different. You don't have pristine conditions to sing in. And that made it also all the more rewarding. And I think also the live vocals and this particular style that they chose for Janice's music lends itself to the raw nature of her spirit and also like kind of some rock roots that I really enjoyed.
I do want to ask about live action Moana coming up. I obviously, we saw your video about why you are not returning as Moana herself and just executive producing. I get it. I support it. It also breaks my heart because I wanted to see you belt I Am Moana, a Song of the Ancestors live. Talk to me about that decision-making process, though. I mean, in the end, was it a hard decision? How did you arrive at that?
Thank you. Really, the Moana universe is expanding. We have Moana, the animated series that's also being worked on, Moana live action, yes. It feels really important to me to pass the baton to the next young woman of Pacific Island descent. And I say that with my whole chest. I have been invited and I exist in these beautiful AAPI spaces, Asian American Pacific Islander, and I'm one of the few Pacific Islanders. And I'll say it again, I'm one of the few Pacific Islanders. And our stories are so important to be told, and the Pacific Islands, Hawaii being one of them, like it's used so often as in White Lotus. We see it's used. We are used. And I want to tell our own stories. I want to be behind the camera as much as I am in front of it. When I talk about representation, I want to see the same thing happening in writers' rooms. I want to see the same thing happening with directors, and Taika Waititi talks about this as well. I want to see showrunners who are also of Indigenous descent telling their own stories. And if it has to start with me, I'm 23, but if it starts with me, so be it. And I want that door to swing wide open, and I cannot wait to meet the next Moana.
Girl, me too. I am so excited for live action Moana, and I do hope that everyone back home in Hawaii is okay after the fires, and I hope recovery is going very well. Auli'i, that is my time. Thank you as always for taking the time to speak to me. It is always such a joy, and I cannot wait for the next one. P.S. This whole look you have just absolutely chef's kiss today.
You're my favorite, bro. Good to see you again. Talk to you soon.